remember last week we did lots of backgrounds, really pretty backgrounds, and I made some more. You could see I made a lot more. And I want to show you one of the ones that I didn't show you this. I didn't show it last week because I didn't really think to bring out the stuff, but you see this text that's in here. I'm going to let my cat out because she's now deciding, I can go. She's now deciding it's her, she wanted out. So you can see these little nice little scripty kind of watercolor backgrounds. And these, I just did these this weekend. And I love it. So these are the ones I did last week, really bright. We did all kinds of different backgrounds last week. And then I drew on some of them. These are some acrylics. And I did some lettering on some, which is a new thing I'm doing from the fodder school class. We just letter on things and make layers of lettering. So this one I haven't lettered yet, but you can see all the different things we've got. The first thing I'm going to do is the watercolor wash thing, because then it can have time to dry, and then we'll start our hearts, our cutouts, or our weavings. That's the word I'm coming up with. So you can see, like in this one, I just finished this one actually I did this morning, but I did the background. First, I wrote with a let me show you what it was. This is called a masking liner. A couple of brands have these masking fluid pens. I think, I'm trying to remember, Molotow makes one, and this one is made by, what is the name here? What's the name of this? It comes from Ito, but it's called East Hill Co., but Ito sells these. So it's just basically, it's masking fluid and a marker, which is really cool. What I did was I just did I wrote onto my paper, like, just scribbled like this, wait for it to dry, and then I did a wash over it. And then a second wash, after I removed the rubber stuff, the masking, I just did another wash of a different color just to sort of tone down the lettering a little. So that's how that was achieved. I'm going to show you one fun thing. I don't know if I told you, but maybe a few weeks ago I told everybody that I didn't like these. I was wrong. I really do like them. These are the Dina Wakely Scribble Sticks water-soluble pigments, and they do kind of fit in our watercolor Wednesday thing, because they are, they're watercolors, but they're different. They're not like a normal watercolor pencil. They're not like anything I've ever tried. So I'm going to show you what I did with these. So you could draw with them ahead of time. So let's say I'm going to use this color. And if I wanted to scribble, and I don't need to make words, I'm just going to scribble kind of like that, like what the title says. They're scribble sticks. And I can write words and just kind of make marks across my page here. I'm just going to do it the whole thing. Maybe I'll change the color just because it's fun. Why not? There's like a peach color. And so you can, like I said, you can write words and make it really personal for you. There, I just want to do that quick. So that's one way you could use these. Now I'm going to move this out of the way. I'm going to take some water, and I'm going to get my watercolors out. And if you don't have something like this, just scribble something underneath, like with a maybe watercolor pencil would work just as well. If you want to do the same thing, I think it would work very much the same. And now I'm going to just do a color. I think I want to do a magenta. And I'm going to go right over it with some magenta. Now it's going to dissolve somewhat, but not all the way, which I thought was interesting. The scribble sticks keep their color. So you have see if I'm going to get a different color out of my stash here. I'm just putting another wash on. This is a greeting card. It's a blank greeting card. Anything, you can use anything you have. If you don't have a blank greeting card, that's okay. You can just use some watercolor paper. And I'm not going to go all the way to the edge. I'm actually going to just kind of stop short of the edge, because I don't feel like doing a masking tape thing. I'm just doing a very wet wash, kind of just right to the very side of this card. And I could add, I think it'd be fun to add a little metallic, just because I can. And I've got some pretty metallics sitting here. I don't know if you see, these are the ones that I made by hand. I'm just going to put a little bit just to give it a little shimmer. I'm kind of I've got lots of love themed cards and artwork this month because it is February and we have Valentine's Day, but I like to celebrate Valentine's Day every day because, well, I like to remember that love, in all forms is really what the world, why the world rotates, right? It's why we have friendships, we have children, we have um, our hobbies, our passions, our everything. We just just love. So this is you can see there's the colors or the letters are still sort of under there. But if I wanted to go even like while it's still wet, I'm going to take a color while it's wet. I'm just going to go back in and write a little bit. You can also do some marks while it's wet. And you can see it kind of looks really beautiful, sort of watercolory, which I think you could do the same thing with a watercolor pencil. So I'm just creating little marks in this. Just I'm not even. I could do a stream of consciousness writing, I guess, but I'm just making this so I can have a texture with the watercolor, and it's just kind of fun. And then you'll see what I'll do afterwards with this. This is going to be the basis of the heart in the hand weaving. If it dries in time, I'm not sure it will, but there it is. So I'm going to let that dry. So these are fun. You can use your watercolor pencils or something like these water soluble pencils or crayons. You can use those in your watercolor backgrounds. It just creates really neat effects. Now I see I have a lot of puddling happening here. So what I'm going to do, because it will take forever to dry if I don't, I'm just going to sort of pick that extra color up with a brush that's just dry, and so that it doesn't. I don't spend hours waiting for that to dry. I'm just kind of using that brush as a straw. I think I show you this probably every time because it really helps if you get too much water. It's better to have too much water though than too little. So that's going to sit aside and wait. I've got a heat gun if I need to use it later. But so what I did is I sent you, if you remember, and hopefully you got these and you were able to print them out and trace your hearts. So we're going to do this woven heart first. We can do this large one first and the small one second. We can do that. Now what you need is you notice if you had 3 sheets of paper that were sent, and look, there it is. So this basically is one heart. So when you put it together, that's one. So you're going to want your paper to be this way. And the first time I made these, I didn't do it the opposite, and I had 2 on the same side, and it didn't work. So you have 2 sheets. You're going to have 2 pieces of paper that size, and then this is also one heart. So these are basically 2 hearts. So I'm going to show you. I'd already cut and I traced out the little one, and I just cut them out. I just traced it on the back side and I cut it out to the size, to the shape of the thing. Now let's see if I can find my little, I did another, oh, there it is. And then this one, I can find it. I know it's there, but I think I just mixed it up, but there's one of them right there. This is, I actually used a light box to trace it on the back of my paper. So I've got that one, and I know I have another one. I'm just gonna have to find it. It's in my pile. There it is. Okay, so these 2, basically, if you look at when you're deciding on your color choices, you need to make sure that your hearts are going opposite, or your shapes, halves are going in the opposite direction when you're cutting it. And that's how you can tell that everything's right, is that, you just lay them like this, overlap, and then you'll know if that's a heart shape, you're in the right place. So I'm just going to make a kind of a little tip here. The drawings I sent you were not the most clean drawings. I found that just taking a ruler, these were a little wonky here. But that's, if you just make a ruler, you can make as many lines as you want. If you wanted it to be thinner, I think it'd be fun. In fact, I'm going to do it. For this one, I'm going to make this one a little finer weave. I'm hoping I can do it. But I'm going to take these lines, because if you don't have to just have 4 sections or four pieces. Now I can't see through that one. I need a clear ruler so I can see. Okay, so I'm going to divide these in half because I want to have something a little If I look at this, and I'm just gonna eyeball it, I guess. It's not, so it's sort of iffy here, but I'm gonna divide these in half because I want a finer weave. I'm hoping this will work because you gotta have them as close to the same size as possible. There, so I've got, that's a lot. I'm gonna have to change that because I want that to be all the same. We want the strips to be the same exact size. Otherwise the little thing isn't gonna go together. So I'm gonna try, I'll have to repeat the same thing on this one. I'm gonna have to make a boo-boo on this one. Yeah, like that. And just kind of divide it. This, you don't have to do this. I just go ahead and, if you have traced and cut out your heart shapes, that's fine. We're going to do the little one first anyway. So this one's going to be the harder one. You can see I have more strips. So I'm going to set this aside, and I'm going to grab my little piece here. These are the first ones. These are the, this is, we'll start small. So basically what we need to do, this is my heart shape, and I've cut it out. And this one is just going to be woven. We're just going to take it, and we're going to take our little, we're just taking these, and we're just lifting every other one. We're just going to weave. And you just have to kind of work it. Now the every other one, and it kind of gets a little tough, but you can do it. You just have to kind of work that paper. Now, you can see I've got that one is pretty much there, and then this piece needs to be woven. I'm sure there's a better way to do it, but this is the only way I know how. Now, I say every other one. What I noticed is if I dampen the paper, if it seems to be kind of weird, dampening it seems to help. Now, not in this one so much as the other one I'll show you, but the heart in the hand one. So you just slide your pieces to get kind of, with the firm watercolor paper, this is really easy to do. Just slide everything together and get it so it locks in, and then just keep working the little strips. So like this one needs to go under here. This one needs to go over. So you might have to take it and just bring it in underneath, just however you do it. There's probably, since I'm not a weaver by trade, more watercolor for me, but this is so much fun. I did order a book called, it's The Art of Weaving, Paper Weaving, and it's not coming for another week, but I can't wait to dive into it because it has some pretty amazing, a very amazing weaving techniques. So I can't wait. So now you can see it's put together, it's woven. Now these little edges I can leave raw like this, which I think I'm going to, or you could trim. If you don't like those little raw edges, you can just trim the ends off. But I think it kind of adds character to have those little ends like that. And if you remember, this was last week with the metallic watercolors over the black paper. And I think that's pretty striking even on this side. So you could see the weaving, how that's done. Now I'm going to try it now with these big pieces using more strips. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get somebody coming in, and Melissa's coming in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make this the same, all these, try to keep these the same. So I'm going to just cut all the way around. I want to say hi, Melissa, glad you're here. We're just getting started. And I'm just cutting around this. This is my large heart. This one I think will be a fun wall hanging. I think it's a little big to stick in the mail, but I think it's going to be a really pretty wall hanging. Now I noticed that I need to make this thinner, so I'm going to kind of adjust this so that the strips are all the same, about the same width. So you can see I just narrowed that a little bit, but so that's going to, now they look a lot better. And I'm just going to trim that tip. Now for this one, I'm going to take this, I'm going to make the shape exactly the same on this one. So I'm going to just use that template. Basically, I've just created a new shape. So I'll just go around, and just right here is where I'm going to narrow that. And now I can just, oops, it doesn't look that like it's the same. Oh well. We'll see how this works. This is my first time doing this one, so we'll see. I think it'd be fun to see how many more layers of weaving you can get. And watercolor paper is so durable, very thick and very durable. You can wet it. if you need to. If it's too stiff, just a slight dampening of the paper will give you a more pliable and workable paper, and then it will dry perfectly flat again. So I'm just going to go and give this a little bit more wide. There we go. And take my scraps, move them out of the way. And now we just want our strips to be cut straight, as straight as we can. If you have a straight edge, that's great. And I'm just going to try to make them even. I'm even kind of adjusting it a little bit here in my cutting with the scissors. So I see that they're just not perfectly spaced apart. It just will make more of a wonky, sort of organic looking natural heart, I guess. It won't be perfect, but I like the idea of just being able to have a more detailed weave. So let's see. I'll be the one to make the mistake. I'll sacrifice my painting or my piece. But if you want to just do the 4, do the 4, you know, like the original in your template, or do this kind of, experiment with me. And I'm going to make sure that this is the same length. Yep, there we go. And you really just want to make sure you kind of it's not a perfect science or anything, but I think, you know, the better it's a better result when your cuts are straight and fairly evenly spaced apart. We will find out how this one will look. I think it's going to look great. I'm sure. I have a feeling. Just the texture, the 2 different colors, contrasting colors of paper, I think, will really make it fun. And since they're not so perfectly cut, here we go. So here we've got our little parts. Oops, got to make sure. There we go. So we can put them together so that it looks like the heart. We know that that is the heart shape. And now I'm going to start the weaving. So I'm going to do it a little bit more systematically here. I think I'm going to just do every other one on the first one, see if that helps. We'll see. It's a little weird because, you know, normally with weaving you have one direction, but because this is in 2 directions, I have to just kind of be creative. So I think what I'll do is I'll just I'll kind of go through the first, like I did with the first one, is I'm going to take these sections, every other one, like that. And then I see this one needs to be, and how will I do that? I don't know. We'll see. I could go under, I could scooch this, no, it's not going to let me. So I might dampen this just a little bit. I'm going to do something like I did before. Today I actually dampened one of the pieces, and it really made a difference in the way I was able to move it around. So I'm going to just dampen it, maybe both of them. But not, I'm not making it soaking wet because I don't want to disturb the watercolor, you know, that's on the other side. I just want to soften the papers a little bit. So there we go. Got it like that. Now I'm going to just start doing it. And if, you know, I hope that book, when I get that book, I'll be able to share a little bit more about how they do it, because I've seen some pretty incredibly intricate weavings. Now my paper is more pliable right now. It's very soft, and it feels like it just feels better. So that one is going to go under there. And then this one, I'm going to take this one and it goes under. And I'm just going to maybe I'll just treat one section at a time. So I'm going to start and I'm going to go down the strip. So here's one here. And it's so stiff, but I'll get it. I'm determined. I'm going to just do it. Nope, I'm not doing it right. All right, got to concentrate, Karen. So with this one, goes under. Oh, that's why. Okay, so just take your strips and just move them through. And I think I'm just going to do it, since I did dampen the paper, it's going to have a little more pliability, which is nice. So I'm going to just do it like that. And I'm going to take the next, just weave it through like the way you would weave fabric or ribbon. It's because the paper is slightly dampened, I'm having a little bit more luck. I'm going to get through, turn this over on the other side, and you see that this piece needs to go. I'm going to move this up this way. And just kind of, you'll see what you'll kind of see if it's every other one. If it's not every other one, you got to get that happening, and that locks everything in. See, I was able to get that. And I'm going to go here underneath here. onto this piece here, and this is a little bit wider, so it's going to be a little tougher. And I'm determined. Now, I decided to make it more complicated, but the 4 would probably be easier, for sure. Now I see that I can take this one and probably just do it like, take it. Now that I have it started, I think I'm in a better position now to work through these. Yes. Now I got that. Next, my second row is done. And then, nice, where's my third one? Okay, so I'm going to just use this piece here, and I'm going to start working that. Now this piece needs to lift and that goes under. And I'm just going to go over and under. I'm going to pick these up and go over and under. It's probably better to just do it this way, kind of in a sequence. Otherwise, everything gets jammed up. So now I've got 3 strips done. And I'm still, the heart's going to look really pretty with all those strips. So now I'm going to take this piece here, and that one goes over. In fact, I'm going to just, so this is my next one, and I'm going to go over, and then this is going to lift. That's going to come down. You can see every other one. You kind of feels, once you get it locked, then you can weave a lot easier. Yeah, I've got it. Every other one. That's good. Now I see, and I'm going to try to slide these up until they kind of lock in a little bit. Just move your strips so that they move as far as up towards the cut edges as you can. I'm just going to kind of move that up. I see it needs to move more, and just kind of work it throughout the strips. There we are, like that. So there's that. Now I kind of keep going. I'm going to take this on the blue side. I'm going to lift this piece up, and I'm going to make it go under. Oh, I see. There's a piece that I missed. Uh-oh, way back here. See this one? Okay. Now I've got to feed that through. No wonder it was not fitting just right. There. Now I'm just going to weave it through, because rather than taking it all apart, I'm just going to turn it over and weave it like a piece of ribbon, and just let that paper, and just be gentle. But the watercolor paper is a lot more durable than plain paper. And then this one, every other one. Okay, that is why it wasn't coming together. There we go. Now that needed to happen, and then I'll just fix these pieces here. So weave it through. And just take your time on the weaving. It's a fun, once you get your heart together, and you'll find the parts that are not. It's like, remember those, what were those things that we used to make when we were, I know I made those things when I was a kid, little woven placemats and woven, what were those things? Pot holders. And just bring it through. Now, my paper is starting to dry out, but it really did help to dampen the paper just a little bit to get it more pliable. There, now we're on the right track. So that little piece that was not joined really made it kind of hard to get it together. And then just kind of press everything together until it lays flat, and then keep weaving if you haven't gone through your heart already. And if you haven't started if you want to start your other one, your little one, if you only have 4 pieces, 4 strips, you're probably done by now. So this one, I'm going to let's see if I can lift this one out. I think this one needs, okay, I see what it needs. That one's gonna go under, and the other one's gonna go over. Over, under, over, under. You can see where it needs to go under. Definitely, the more strips you have, the more, a little more difficult, but I think it's going to be worth the effort. That piece is in, and then these all need to be, so I need to get this one under, and that one, no, that's the one that goes under. Oops. There we are. If anybody's a weaver out there, you probably think Karen, there's probably an easier way, but this is the only way. Just doing it, making it happen. So I'm just pushing these all up, and that one I missed, so I've got to get that one in there. It slipped out or something. It was there before. There we are, almost there. So you can see how even if I didn't even finish it, I love this. I love the detail of this one. So I think that was a good move to try something different and know that you could still make your beautiful heart. Let's see, this one goes underneath and over. We're almost there. Yay. Let's see, this one goes this way. That one goes that way over there. And just once you get everything all locked in, try to squish it together. And then if it doesn't, trim off the edges. If it doesn't squish together. Now, because my parts weren't perfectly symmetrical or evenly spaced, that's why this one's probably having a little harder time getting this together, but it's still going to be great. You can put some glue down once you've got it all together. If you wanted to add a little tiny bit of glue just to make sure pieces don't come out, you can do that. This one is still almost there, and I may just trim it. I might just trim the ends, but I'll move on. But you can see we've got our two woven hearts together, and I'll fix that later. I don't want to keep you on that because I want to do the heart in the hand once. So I'll sit this aside. But you can see how the 4-piece looks, and now you see what a more detailed one looks like. Now I sent you a template that looks like a little glove, and the reason I sent you that template is that it fits perfectly on a greeting card. And if you wanted to make a greeting card for your loved ones, friends, or just have it. And if you know that the heart in the hand, this is the watercolor paper. Heart in the hand is a Victorian. It's like an old. Used to be. I think I don't want to be wrong, but in the 1800s, maybe up to the 1920s, there was this was a very popular craft, and they used different papers, and people now use vintage book pages, which I did in here. It's very thin, so it's really easy to weave. But I also found that I could do it with the watercolor paper, and I like the way it looks with the watercolor paper. So I'm going to take there it is, my template. And with this one, I'm going to turn it. So you have to think about, okay, which size do you want your hand to be? So just turn your paper over, and then you can make your tracing around it. So whatever you have, let's see, this is the line. I'm going to draw around it. Just draw your shape. You can also use your own hand. That's what this one is. I just want to show you. This piece here was my own hand. I traced it around. I just took my hand and laid it on the paper and on the back of it, and I traced. And the reason I did that, I thought that'd be fun. It's a little bit big for a card, but I thought it was a really fun way. If you wanted to, like, I'm going to give this to my husband and put a note on the back, just because and I wrote already something on the front. But he has my hand, and I think that's I think it'd be a fun card to give him, and I can make an envelope for that just by itself. That could be the card. Now, you notice it's got a white back, so I can write a note on the back, or I can even glue a little book or something on the back. But that's a really fun thing. So I'm going to cut this out. I'm going to cut our hand out, and I'm just going to do, it doesn't have to be perfect. This is just looks more like a glove than a real hand. I'm just going to go around with my scissors and go ahead and cut out your hand if you haven't already. And if you want to just make some watercolor backgrounds for your cards, this is going to be on that card background that I just made, if it's dry. If it's not, I'll wait to put it on. But so these are so much fun, and the more I think I've made, I think this week I made them this weekend. I just kept making them because it was addictive. First I needed to learn how to do it, and then once I learned, I was like, oh, I think these are fun. And you can actually get more detailed weavings which I'll learn when I get that book. Maybe in our Friday classes. Normally Wednesdays we're just watercolor only, but hey, it's Valentine's month, so I thought it'd be fun to just do something with our watercolors. But normally I would do this probably on a Friday, but we have so many things to do every week. I just had to squeeze this in for our February classes. So there it is, and I can see it's got, I don't know, it looks kind of weird there, but that's all right. I can always take some watercolor and touch it up, which I've done with somehow the black card kind of shows through. It looks like it has dirty knuckles or something. So then I'm going to take a paper, some kind of paper that I like. I think that'd be pretty. And I'm going to fold it in half. Now you already have a piece of heart already cut out, or a shape you can use. I'm just going to do mine by eye here. I'm just going to cut a half of a heart. And that's what I love about making hearts this way, because they're always perfect. They always come out perfectly. No matter what you do, they always come out. So there, I've got this one. Now, here's the trick on this. You take your, now this is where I moisten it. Both, I just moisten both of them. Just a little bit. Okay, get all, so I don't want to wipe off all the watercolors. Oops, I already did. That's all right. Oh, it's going to be an interesting one. Maybe I'll just blot off some of it. Might be kind of cool. I'll just see what happens. What you have to do is you take your hand and right at this point here, right in the palm, right below the fingers, you're going to try to, you fold that in half. Crease it, not really hard, but just enough to get a fold. And just kind of make sure it's in the center. So I've kind of got a little crease like this, and I'm going to go up to the right where the finger starts, and that is the middle finger. So right there. And then I'm going to take the heart and I'm going to turn it upside down, so that it's going to be upside down. And I'm going to put it, I'm going to fold that also, and it's going to be upside down like this. So you want it upside, you want it facing the wrist, the top of the heart faces the wrist, bottom of the heart faces that middle finger. That's very important that you do your cuts in this direction. So the next thing is I'm going to make 5 slices. Really, I'm going to put these together as much as I can, and I'm going to slice 5 times, starting in the center, going in the direction of the heart shape. So you can see where my scissors are lined up. I'm going to go ahead and make my first slice, and I'm not going to go too deep. I think that's about 1 inch, maybe. It's not that much. Now I'm going to make my second cut like 1/4 inch apart or away from that one, same depth. And I'm going to bring a third one right on the other side of it. So I've got 3 slices now. You can see that. Now I'm going to do 2 more. One just below the one I just did, and another one right above the one I just did. So if you can see, I have 5 slices all in the direction of the heart angle of that heart. Now I'm going to take it apart. I'm going to open it up, and I've got slots on the hand and slots on the, you can see the slots on the heart and slots on the hand. So what we need to do is separate those slots a little bit. And you can see, you got to just separate them a little bit so that they kind of poke out like that. So now I've got, so you kind of see that they're just sort of separated. And then these, I want to separate these so they kind of poke out a little too, kind of round it out like that. Actually, I want to go this way. Sorry about that. I want to kind of have them go in the opposite direction of my hand. Now I'm going to take the first slot in the top on the hand, and I'm just going to direct it into the first slot on the heart. And there we go. I got it. It's in. Now I have to do this on every other slot. Has to be, you have to put your points into the, you see how I just got it in there? Whoops, it's not in the top one. Make sure it's in the top one when you do this. Make sure that you start with the top slot. There it goes. See that little angle thing happened? Now the second one's going to go through the second one. So I have to just bring it up or bring this one down, whatever I have to do. But I want these to go into every other one. So of course, when I am showing you, I'm having a struggle. When before it was really easy. I don't know. It's funny how that works. So I'm going to just bring it up, bring this piece up. And you know what you can use too? If you have a little bone folder, because my fingers are just too bulky. I don't have good fingernails. I'm going to take my bone folder and I'm going to just pop that. I'm going to get that little piece that needs to go up above it. There we are. See how it just went above it? I have to probably zoom that in for you if you need to see that. Let me do that. I'm going to grab this camera. Oops. I want to zoom it. How do I do that? Let's see. All right, there we go. So I want you to see it a little bit better. So here I'm going to take, I want this piece, this triangle that's here, I'm going to bring it up. You can see it's kind of, whoops, there, and it goes above. Now this paper is softer than, this black paper is way softer than the watercolor paper, so you may not have as much trouble as I'm having if you're not, because you're not using the black paper. But it does, it's weird how this soft, it's very soft compared to what I had before. So I'm getting a different feel. There it goes. So I've got the one more goes, and then I can slide all this down. And then one more piece, right? One more piece. Come on, let's go. I can get it. Oh, there it is. Just pushing it down. Now I've got all of those pieces on there. I can slide them down. You see how I'm sliding them down? And I'm going to lock that in. Now that's pretty by itself, but there's one more step that we can do that really just finishes it off. All right, so that's in there. It's not going anywhere. But what we want to do now is to bring these little points up. So these points that are down here, you can see these points right down here are going to have to pop through to this side. So you're going to have, it's kind of a tricky thing. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take my finger, I'm going to lift this piece up, and I'm going to just push this out. If you can see, and I'm going to push this out, and then I can push this one down. It's a little weird, but you have lots of thick paper, so go ahead and let it happen. I'm going to just push that one down. So what I just did is I locked that down. I'm going to do the same thing on the other one. So I can find it. There it is. I'm just going to push this little piece up, and I'm going to press the other, just need it to come over those black pieces. And I'm going to do the same with the other one. It's just, you can kind of feel it, you know, you'll feel, and then if you need your bone folder to kind of help finish that move, you can do that. But it's a lot more durable than it looks like. I haven't torn one piece yet. And I've been playing with these for a while now. One more piece. Now this, I'm going to leave it like that. Now, I'm just going to, there it is. That weaving is done. So see how you've got this nice texture, and there's probably other ways to fix, to make that more interesting. Now I see that I need a little, some of my paint rubbed off, which is fine. I'm going to just take some, it's not fine, what am I saying? I liked it with the paint, the pretty paint on it. So I'm just going to take, well, I'm going to fix that. This isn't the same paint, but I'm going to just use some metallics that I happen to have. This is, I think this was oh, I know what this was. Remember, I don't know if you remember this, but last week, yeah, it was this paint here. It was these metallic paints. So I'm just gonna go around, kind of touch up the sides a little bit. Make it look like I meant it. I'm gonna also get rid of those weird little black spots there. And so you can touch up if you did have some lift off or something, you can always fix them. You can just work it. And if you want to work around the edges to show, just to finish the edges so if you have white edges, I think it would look really nice if you finished it with just by putting some color on the sides. And here I'll just kind of move it around like I meant. There we go, just kind of that. Maybe make some marks on it now because it's got marks on it. So imperfections are a good thing. And now I've got there, it is pretty much I think it now looks better than it did. Move the color around a little bit. Yeah, I'll better zoom back in so you can see what I'm going to do next. There you are. So I'm hoping everybody was able to get their hearts put together. I'm going to let this sit for a minute because it's still drying. But so what you do is when your watercolor wash is dry, this is another one I did earlier. I think that's a nice color. You can just glue this onto your card, and you've got a greeting card. You've got a beautiful card. You can also write text around the hand if you want. And I think that would be really pretty. So you can see this one, it's pretty much dry, and that's the one I intended that for. There it is. So I'll just stick that on there, but I'll wait for it to dry before I glue. And all I need to do with this one is just take some white glue and put it all over the back of the hand and glue it on. And that's it. Or if you want to use these as a bookmark, because they are heavy enough, you can use these as bookmarks to put in your bookmarks. I think they would make really handy ones. I think that is all of the stuff I was going to show you. So